Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living St. George. My name is Reverend Laura Hallett, and I'm now on. It is a pleasure to welcome you here on this first Sunday of the new year. We are an open, loving, inclusive community that sees the presence of the divine within you, and we honor you for your unique expression of it. We're so happy to have you joining us today. We're going to start off this morning with a little music, and Cheryl has something special for us today.
So one of the ways that we love and honor each other here at the center is by respecting each other's paths. And this song, Welcome Home, which we've been singing for a while, is demonstrative of that goal and that intention. But it is a new year, and I'm gonna sort of sing this one time through just to remind us of who we are, and to let you know that you are welcome here. And then I'm going to introduce you to a song that also recognizes and celebrates the miracle in each one of us. God by many names, love from many hearts, come inside you, don't have to hide, you're perfect as you are. You're already not alone. Welcome home. And here's our January 2019 song. I bow to the divine in you. Feel your light, see it shining through. I'm grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. I bow to the joy in you. I feel your bliss, see it shining through. I'm grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. I bow to the love in you. I feel your heart, see it shining through. I am grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. I bow to the truth in you. I feel your spark, see it shining through. I am grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. Good morning, namaste.
Beautiful. Isn't that fabulous? All right, so let's take a moment and stand up and shake a hand, give a hug, meet a new friend. Beautiful. You guys are good. Thank you. As we enter into the contemplative portion of our service, would you take a moment and check your cell phones? Check into Facebook if you'd like. We're getting new people from Facebook all the time, so it's a great way to get the message out about what we are, who we are, and what we do here. So check in if you do that, and if not, then just silence your cell phones as we prepare for the invocation given today by our practitioner, Sharon Shore.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence God is in this place. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of joy is in this place.
Settle in, and close your eyes if you wish. The first few weeks in January are all about the principles of science of mind, and all of the topics, the sermons, are focused on that. So this is appropriate. I'm going to do a reading today as an invocation from This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. Today, I recognize the perfection within me and within all. In its fullness, I reveal the indwelling kingdom within me and within all. I look out upon the world of my affairs, knowing that the Spirit within all of us makes the way both immediate and easy. I know there is nothing in us that could possibly obstruct or withhold the divine circuit of life and love which good is. Our word dissolves every negative thought or impulse that could throw a shadow over our perfection. Good flows through to all of us. Good shines through our thoughts and actions. Good harmonizes our bodies so that they are revitalized and manifest perfection in every cell, in every organ, in every function. Good harmonizes our minds so that love joyously sings in our hearts. We are completely conscious of the all good in and around us and in all that is. We are in complete unity with that good. We have complete confidence in our knowledge and understanding of the law of good. We not only know what the law is, but we learn and know how to use it. I know that we shall obtain definite results through the use of it. Any doubts that affect our ability to use this law are just things of thought. And what thought has produced, thought can change. Knowing this and having confidence in our ability to use the law and use it daily for specific purposes, gradually we build upon an unshakable faith, a knowing both in the law and the possibility of demonstrating it. There is no doubt, no uncertainty in and throughout each and every one of us. Our minds rejoice in certainty and in assurance. We confidently expect that our word shall not return to us void. Therefore today I declare that the law of the Lord, the law of love, is perfect in everything that we do. It will externalize happiness. It will bring every good to us. Today, we are inwardly aware that there is a secret way of the soul. There is a secret pathway of peace. There is an invisible presence forever externalizing itself for me and for you and through me and through you. And so it is.
If you'd like to join me in affirming these words, they are in your program and on the board. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Sometimes our faiths of origin instill in us not the love and the confidence of its intention, but gives us a sense of possibly condemnation or fear. And I know that as a young gay person growing up in the 70s and 80s, I was really struck by the confusion of a loving Heavenly Father and a fierce, punishing God. And this is a song that I wrote during that time as a youth and as desperately wanting to connect to God, but feeling very disconnected and confused about how I could be loved and accepted as I truly was. This is called Father, Are You There? Father, are you there? Can't you see me crying? Can't you feel my soul that is lost and dying? I need you strong, I need to know your touch. I want to feel your love, I want to know so much. Give me something to hold on to, give me someone to love. Let me know where you are, besides far away up above. Father, are you there? Can't you hold me tight? Will you comfort me through the long, lonely night? I need to know if, I need to know why. I want to make you proud, but all I see is sky. Give me something to hold on to, give me someone to love. Let me know where you are, besides far away up above. Father, I hear your name. Father, they say you care. Father, is it all a game? Tell me, Father, are you there?
Isn't that amazing? Thank you, Cheryl. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It is, this is one of my favorite times of the year. It is the tradition in Centers for Spiritual Living to go what we call back to the basics. To take the month of January and to review our basic principles and how we put these principles into action in our lives. And so this is done by going through what we call our textbook. Our textbook was written originally in 1926 by our founder, Ernest Holmes. Big old thick thing. And then he revised it in 1938. This is the 1938 version. They're very similar. The 26th version was more of a collection of the lessons that he did, while this one was put more into prose to make it more book-like, but they're pretty much the same content in there. And so the first 4 chapters of the book is called the introduction. And this introduction covers the basic principles, basic practices that we work with. And so the first one, which is always the best way for me to start the year because it's absolutely my favorite topic, and the first chapter is called The Thing Itself. So, how many of you, when I use the word God, get a little tweaked? Or when Cheryl sang Father in Heaven, got a little tweaked?
Yeah.
I've come to realize, when I first started, if you use the word Father, I'd have been out the door. Or if you use the word Lord, I did not want some patriarchal thing having any kind of dominance over me. That was not going to happen. It wasn't going to be. I would have been out the door on it. I wasn't really thrilled with all the talk about Jesus either because, to me Jesus was just a man. And again, I didn't want a man having any influence over me. But as I've come to study this and to deepen my connection with Spirit, I really, really, truly have realized it doesn't matter what I call it. It absolutely doesn't matter what I call it. And if I'm being tweaked by it, that's a place for me to look within and see what in the world is back of that. When I looked at with the words Father and Lord, I had to look at my patriarchal issues that I had. God has never bothered me, the word God. That's always been my kind of go-to thing. But I've actually had people who have left classes that I was teaching because I used the word God. That was too much for them. When Ernest Holmes wrote this book, this thing called You, in the first 4 chapters, he uses... Why isn't that coming up? It just went black. This is really cool, too, because it's 88 names of God. What is wrong with it?
It's up
there.
there.
Okay.
The thing itself is
The thing itself is up, though. I didn't...
There we go.
She wasn't meant to hold remote.
No, there it is. Yeah, sometimes I'm really embarrassed to say this. For 13 years, I was a computer specialist, technology expert, so we know that. Okay, so these are the 88 names that Ernest Holmes uses for God. It's really small. You can look at it later. But in the first 4 chapters of The Science of Mind, he uses 88 names. I actually went through and found the 88 names and created a bingo game for it, which we're not going to play today. But anyway, if you take one of my classes, you might play it. And so these are the names that Ernest Holmes uses for God. For him, he's got a great understanding of what God is, and so he's able to use all of these names universally. He could call God Allah and it not bother him. He could call God one of the 10,000 Hindu God names that are representative of the 10,000 aspects of God, and it not bother him. Because he had a very clear and a very deep relationship with God. He had a clear understanding of what it is, and he had a deep relationship with the divine presence within him. So when he wrote The Science of Mind, he said that the study of the science of mind, that's what we call our philosophy, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, science of mind. Sometimes it's called the science of mind and spirit, which is a modernized version of it, but it's the same. Study of science of mind is a study of first cause, spirit, mind, that invisible essence, the ultimate stuff. I love that technical word. The ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes. The power back of creation, the thing itself. And that's where the title of the chapter and title of this talk come from. This quote here, the thing itself. So in our belief system, we have 12 overriding principles. Ernest Holmes wrote these principles in 1927 when he was publishing his magazine, The Science of Mind, which is one of the longest continuously published magazines in the United States. He wrote what he called the Declaration of Principles. The Declaration of Principles are 12 statements, and it's become, because every one of them starts with the words "we believe," and so it's come to be known as the "what we believe" statements. But it's the Declaration of Principles, and the very first one really talks about this thing itself. The very first principle is we believe in one living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the self-knowingness of spirit. That's a big chunk there, but let's break it down. We believe in one. There's nothing else. We just believe the one. One living spirit almighty. I love that phrase, the living spirit almighty. I think it touches my biblical roots. It really gives me that good sense of what God is. One living spirit almighty. One indestructible, we can't destroy it, it cannot be changed. One indestructible, absolute, self-existent cause. A self-existent cause. We say that in the beginning was God and nothing but God. And from God, everything was created. Well, if everything is created from God, it has to be created from the very essence that God is. There's nothing else out there. God is the only thing that exists, so everything then that is created had to come from the very same stuff that God is. So it's self-existent. It brought itself forth into expression. And it brought itself forth into expression as all of the different aspects of creation that we see. So we believe in one living spirit almighty, one indestructible, absolute, self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation. That is the only way that this spirit shows up, is through the creation that it makes. So through each one of us individually, God shows up in and through all of its creation. But it is not absorbed by its creation. So everything that I am is that presence of God. There was nothing else to make me from but the presence of God. But I am not the totality of God. God is so much more. So God is not absorbed by my presence. It is so much more than I could ever possibly be, or anyone else. Each one of us is that divine incarnation of the one. Totally the presence of God, because there is nothing else to be made from. One manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. The manifest universe is everything that we can experience through our five senses. If we can see it, hear it, touch it, taste it, smell it, that is the manifest universe. And that is the body of God, because there is nothing else from which it could be made but the body of God, the presence of God, the essence of God. Okay, so one manifests itself in and through, oh no, I already did that one. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome. It's the logical and necessary outcome. Because there is nothing else, it's logically has to be that everything came from God. The logical necessary outcome of the self-knowingness of spirit. Spirit existed in the beginning, before the Big Bang. It existed by itself. There was nothing else there. And so, therefore, to know itself more, it had to create. So the self-knowingness of spirit. Spirit so wanted to experience itself in all of these different forms that it started creating. And it brought forth everything into existence. So that's the number one principle that we believe in. The second one is we are individualizations of spirit, and spirit is individualized in us. And so each one of us is that unique representation of God. We show up as we do, with our own individual personality, our own individual life principles. All of that is who we are. And that is an individual aspect of God. I like to think of this in terms of the ocean. So in the ocean, you have got all kinds of waves. You have the waves that are just gentle, easy waves. You have the waves that come crashing up against the shore. You have the waves that are so peaceful, they just bring you this deepest sense of peace. And you have the ones that terrify you. And every single one of those waves is completely 100% ocean. Okay? There's nothing that exists outside of it, but it shows up in all of these different forms. The third one, I think, is my favorite to say. Third principle that we have. And that is we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. That has given me such a sense of peace in my life. That my soul is continuous. It doesn't matter what happens in this incarnation, this present form that I'm taking right now, in this body that I have. My soul is going to continue on and on. And that has brought me a great deal of peace when I've had to deal with anybody else that's going through any kind of death or dying challenge right now. For me to know, they're good. They're absolutely good. They've gone on and they are experiencing life in the next form for themselves, in whatever form that is. I don't have to know what it is. I just have to know that it is existing. So there are 12 of these statements. I put a copy of them back on the table there if you'd like to take them with you. There you go, Alizar already got one of them. There are a purple piece of paper back there. These are what we call our principles, the Declaration of Principles, what we believe statements. So I'm not going to go through all 12. Although I could, because I had to memorize them. Okay, so this thing itself shows up as this wonderful creative process that we can use in our lives. You know, we have these wonderful tools that we use here in Science of Mind that help us change conditions in our lives. One of the things that I like about it, as I said, I was a computer specialist, but I was also a middle school science teacher. And so I'm this big total science geek, and so I happen to love the fact that this is called Science of Mind, and we get to experiment. You know, we get to experiment, we get to take these tools and these techniques and these principles, and we get to apply them to a situation and see if we can make a change in our life. That has been a really cool thing for me. When I first started in at the Cinders here, I wasn't really sure I believed any of this. I actually was doing it because a friend asked me to help her with something. And I thought, I'm not, I even told her one day, I said, I'm not really sure I believe in God. Just start with that. And I said, I'm really not sure I get all of this stuff that they're doing. So my friend was teaching a class called Treatment and Meditation. And I was interested in learning about meditation, and I had no clue whatsoever what treatment was. So treatment is our form of affirmative prayer. And so I'm sitting in this class with these people, and I'm thinking, these guys have all swallowed the Kool-Aid. They are completely convinced of this. They are so convinced of this that I'm starting to think, well, maybe it works. Maybe it works. And so I thought to myself, well, all right, let's try it, Laura. Let's try it. Let's see if you can apply this technique, this treatment that you're learning about, to a condition in your life and change it. So as I was thinking, I'm like, okay, what am I going to apply it to? And I thought, well, I'm not going to take the real big challenges because that's way too much and I'm not ready to deal with that yet. So I'm not going to take the big challenges in my life. And I thought, okay, this was the challenge that was in my face all the time. So I thought, well, all right. So I decided to work on my finances. My finances at the time were troublesome. They weren't bad, they weren't horrible. I wasn't in a lot of debt, but they were troublesome to me. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to take this. So the first thing I decided to do was to use this form of treatment. And in this form of treatment, you create affirmations, positive statements of truth that begin to change your outlook towards whatever that condition is. So the first thing I thought, well, let's start with something easy that's important. So the first thing I started with was, I pay my bills on time. That was the affirmation that I used. So an affirmation has to be positive, present tense, personal, and powerful. So I pay my bills on time. I'm doing it right now. It's present tense. Personal, because it's I. Powerful, because I really need to do that. What was it? Present tense, personal, powerful. Positive. I'm saying it in a positive statement, okay? So, I started doing that. And that coming month, I had every one of my bills paid on time. I thought, this is pretty cool. Let's see if I can shift it in a little bit more. So I thought, okay, I pay my bills on time, and I have money left over. All right, this is good. I like this. So I did that, and the next month it was like, I have a plus balance in my account. This is really good. I mean, a nice plus balance, not just a little bit. So I thought, well, let's see if we can expand that more. Okay. So I pay my bills on time, and I have money left over to do the things I want to do and support the causes I believe in. At which point I decided to start tithing to the church, because this was something that was starting to make a difference in my life, and I thought, oh, okay. Now I know some of you probably tweaked when I say that word, that T word, tithing. It's a spiritual principle, and once you understand the principle of it, again, it's just like understanding the name of God. Once you get it, it doesn't bother you anymore. Well, I was getting ready to go on a vacation to the East Coast. And the way my pay structure was, I got paid twice a month, on the 10th and the 25th. And we were leaving on the 24th to go to Boston. And we were going to be in Boston for 2 weeks. And so that Sunday morning when I drove up to church, I had made out my tithe check, and I was sitting in the car outside the church, and I thought, maybe I should just hold this. The check's already made out. I'm going to give it to the church. But I can give it to the church when I come back from Boston, and that way I'll have that extra $75, because it was getting close, to in case I need something. Something happens while I'm in Boston. I'm always this, got to be prepared for those unexpected things. So I left the check in the car, and I got out of the car, and I started walking, and I got halfway to the door. No, without any thought or anything else, I turned around, went back to my car, I got the check. I put it into the offering that day. So Monday morning when I got home from Monday afternoon when I got home from work, I went to the mailbox. I was leaving on Tuesday. I went to the mailbox, and in the mailbox is a check for $1,200. Now, I was supposed to get this check for $1,200 because it was for a class that I was teaching. But the way that they had structured the class was that I got paid at the end of the 8 weeks. Well, this was only 4 weeks into the class. And all of a sudden, they're sending me half the money that they had decided, they didn't tell us, they had decided to pay us in 2 increments instead of 1 increment. But I had $1,200 extra to go to Boston and have a fabulous time. And I did. I had a wonderful time. But to me, it was like, oh my God, when I trusted, without even thinking about it, I trusted that little inclination within me. It wasn't a voice or anything. It was just that feeling inside of me. Go back and get the check. When I trusted it, the universe provided. Since then, literally 0 financial problems. 0, because I now believe and I now understand that the principle of tithing, and that my source is not my bank account, it's not my check, it's not anything that's going to come in the mail. My source is beyond that. And once I realized that, I changed that condition. But I was able to do that by using prayer very specifically. A very specific scientific method where I experimented with it and I proved it. Now, like any good scientist, we have to prove these experiments over and over again. As I used to tell my students, an experiment isn't good, isn't valid, unless you can prove it again. And so then I began to apply it to other things. But again, I've applied it in a specific way. Which leads me to the prayer request cards that you have in your handouts. Now, I love getting the prayer request cards, and I love sitting there and praying it. I will pray for every single one of those things for you. But there's much more power if we ask specifically. So take a look at that blue card that's in your packet right now. I'm going to encourage you all to do this. Even if you think you don't need prayer for something, just take a look at that. And there's a whole list of things that you can ask for prayer for. And then there's a place at the bottom for a specific request. Now, think about what's happening in your life right now. Is there anything that you would like to have prayer for? Maybe you want to have more abundance in your life. Maybe you want to have an easier time with some kind of a challenge. Maybe you're looking to bring more love in your life or more joy. Or maybe you've got something that's a little bit feeling uneasy right now, and so you want a little extra harmony or grace running through you. Okay? Think about the situation and check off 1, maybe 2 of those things. And if you want, if you're inclined to do so, give us a little bit of specific information about it. The practitioners and I hold this in prayer throughout the week, knowing the truth of you for those situations. So I encourage you to do that. If you don't want to, that's okay. But it is a wonderful method of asking for prayer. Yeah, and so I was talking with the practitioners on Friday about this, and they said it wasn't very specific enough for them. And I said, well, here's the thing. This is my belief about prayer. When I take 1 step forward to God, God takes 1,000 steps to me. So the fact that I ask for prayer is answered prayer in itself. The fact that I would take the opportunity to ask for prayer, that gives God the opportunity to make a difference in my life. It's if you go back to the story from the Bible, the prodigal son. The son is returning home, and the father sees the son off in a great distance. Well, he doesn't stay at the farm and wait for him. He goes running to meet him. That's what the Father is doing. That's what God is doing. When we take that step towards God, in whatever way we're doing it, whatever spiritual practice we're using, sometimes it's falling down on our knees and saying, dear God, what do I do now? And sometimes it's just looking at a sunrise and saying, thank you, God. Well, however it works for you, it's that making that contact with that spirit within us that allows it to change. when we collect the offering, we can turn these in if you'd like. If you didn't want to do one, that's okay too. Just I encourage you, take that step forward. Ask for prayer. You know, it's a powerful process that will change your life. In the first chapter of the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes writes, prayer is a movement of thought within the mind of the one praying, along a definite line of meditation that is for a specific purpose. And so all prayer takes place within our thoughts. So once we have that thought and we reach out, the prayer is taking place right then. We just have to be patient and quiet and listen enough to hear the answers. So this creative law that is moving through us all of the time, it shows up in two different aspects. Some of the words get really confusing. We have the words like mind, consciousness, objective, subjective. And sometimes when you're reading the Science of Mind textbook, it can get a little confusing about what they're actually talking about. And so Ernest says that this universal consciousness manifests itself in two ways. It shows up as the I am that I am, this individual expression of me that's housed within this body. That is one aspect of the I am. And the second aspect of the I am is this universal consciousness that knows what it knows, that knows everything, that is that presence that is constantly there, that is the same presence that's in me, that's in you, that's in every bit of creation. But it's the same thing. And that's where that phrase, when Moses asked God, what's your name? And the response is, I am that I am. I am that I am. That I am my individual life presence. And that I am that universal consciousness. I am that I am. And that's what he's meaning by that. And as we begin to experience these principles and practices that we teach here, we can begin to get a deeper understanding of that. The thing about experimenting that scientists know, and that people that have practiced this faith know for a long time, is that as we experiment and as we have successes, our faith in this universal presence increases. And that faith in the universal presence becomes more palpable in our lives. It becomes more of a daily presence, as opposed to just that one thing that we seek when we're having an issue. And so through the practice of meditation, I've really worked with developing that consciousness. And it's unique for each person how it shows up. I can't tell you how it's going to show up for you. I have no idea how it's going to show up for you. I can describe how it showed up for me in the past. The very first time that I felt that presence, knew without a single doubt in my mind that that was the presence of God, was a life transformative event for me. I was, it was 2008, and I was, my brother was 2 weeks away from making his transition. He had a terrible, very aggressive brain tumor. And I was distraught. I was very stressed over it. And I'd been having this physical sensation. It was like this weird thing. It was like my body would expand and contract. It was like, and it just, over a couple of days, it just kept getting progressively worse. And it was finally this last day, I was at work. And as I said, I was a computer specialist, so I didn't have a dedicated class of students that I had to watch, which was really good, because I could go off by myself. And so I was at work, and I was walking in the halls, and I was like, I can't even hardly walk. I'm not functioning well. I can't, that's this feeling, this sensation. It was like almost making me dizzy kind of thing. But I felt really silly going to my principal and saying, hey, look, I got this thing going on. I don't know what it is, but it's weird, and I need to go home. So I felt really silly doing this. I thought, I'm just going to go into my office and sit there until it goes away, because I can't do anything else. And so I went into my office, and I closed the door and turned out the light, and I just sat there. And it might have been 20 minutes, and it might have been 20 seconds. I really have no idea. I just did some of my breathing practices that I've learned to kind of still myself and to get to a place of centeredness. And in a very short time, it felt like I very clearly heard, there is no pain, there is no suffering, there's only peace. And I broke down crying, of course, and I knew at that moment that I'd been touched by God. I knew at that moment. There's no way to explain it other than tell you exactly what happened. There's no way for me to explain the depth of it. But it was one of those things that once you know, you can't unknow. and that you're forever changed by it. You know, it's happened to me in other instances. None of them have been that impactful or that powerful, but they have been transformative in my life. And each one of them has happened when I get myself still, when I get myself quiet enough that I can listen to the voice of God. I can listen for that spirit within me to make itself known. And every single time, it has changed my life. In the book, Ernest writes this: no matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is that eternal voice, forever whispering in our ear. That thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which causes, I got that twice. People were talking to me this morning as I was writing this. The thing that causes that eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. There is within you that voice, and you got to get still enough to hear it. You know, here in our Centers for Spiritual Living, we have the absolute most profound, perfect thing that will help you get to this place, and that's our classes. Our classes will teach you the principles. Our classes will teach you these tools. They will help you change your life. They will help you transform your life. You know, I can't tell you even, well, I can tell you, but it doesn't make any difference because you don't feel it like I feel it. It's the way that my life has shifted in the last 13 years from learning these principles and practices is unbelievable. And it came through our classes. It came through the study that I've been talking about, the meditation, the treatment, the learning the principles, understanding these faiths and philosophies. It is the best gift you could ever give yourself, is to take one of our classes. You know, I'll talk a little bit about a couple of them that we have coming up in the announcements, but truly, you can go to Barnes & Noble or get on Amazon, and you can order every single self-help book out there. You can order every single book on spirituality, and you're going to gain a little bit of knowledge. Okay? You can get on Google right now, totally free. Get on Google, and you can research every single thing that I've talked about here today. And you will get some kind of knowledge about it, absolutely. But there is nothing that is going to take the place of the community that is built and the understanding that you get when you're actually sitting in a class with people of like mind and exploring these principles. It is truly profound. You know, we spend so much time dabbling from one thing to another instead of diving deep into one. We go around, we hit the surface. Oh, I'm going to study transcendental meditation for a while, and I'm going to study Buddhism for a while, and I'm going to study the Quran for a while, and I'm going to study this, and I'm going to study that, and we get little bits of knowledge, and all we ever do is skim that surface. But when we dive deep, our life transforms. And that's what we do in our classes, is we dive deep into it, the exploration of these ideas. We take them and we apply them to our lives in a situation in our lives right now, like I just described to you, and our lives will change. If your life is fabulous right now and you don't really want it to change, you can always ask for better. Yeah. I have a friend who always puts in her treatments, whatever it is, this is better than I can even imagine. Better than beyond belief, these kind of things. It's just increasing the good that we're having in our lives. It's another way of bringing that presence into our life in a deeper and greater way. And so I hope you take chance and try them. If you're not interested in something that is every single week for a period, we've just started our Wednesday night experience. And I've had, I think, 3 people now say, oh, I want to come to the Wednesday night class. And I never thought of it as a Wednesday night class. I was thinking of it as a Wednesday night service. But it is, it's a class. We're going over basic principles and practices. Mostly, right now we're starting with meditation because that to me is the primary one. And so I'm just going to be exploring different meditation techniques with you. You can come in one week, don't make it the next week, whatever works for you. There'll be different meditation technique each Wednesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. Again, it's meditation, discussion, very low-key kind of night. So if you don't want to try a class, I suggest you try that. Also here, you know, the other thing you can also do is work with one of our practitioners. They spend 4 years of study learning these principles and practices, using them in their lives, transforming their life. They're happy to work with you. We now have 6 practitioners. So there are plenty of people out there to help you. And, after service, Sharon will be praying with people in the prayer room. And any of them are willing to work with you on a one-on-one basis. Talk to them. There's a fee usually attached to the one-on-one work because they've spent a lot of time learning this stuff. They've invested a lot of time into themselves to get to this place where they can know truth readily for you. Okay, let's just take this into prayer. Cheryl's going to come up and doodle behind me. I don't know if doodle's the right word. I like the word doodle, but doodle's okay? Or maybe noodle, isn't that what they say? What do they say? Doodle's creative, yes. She's going to be creative behind me. All right, so this is our affirmative prayer. And so if you've never experienced it before, there are 5 stages. In the first stage, I recognize the presence of God. In the second stage, I unify myself and you with it. The third stage, that's those affirmations I was talking about. The fourth stage is giving thanks. And the last stage is knowing it is done and letting it go. All right. So just taking a nice deep breath as we turn within to that place in consciousness, that place of peace, that place of divine wisdom, where the grace of God is flowing through us. And so right here and right now, I know that there is only one living Spirit Almighty, one ultimate presence, one absolute cause, one self-existent expression of the divine. And I know that this one shows up as unconditional love, as perfect peace, as joy and harmony, as clarity and wisdom. The abundant nature of this one is so evident throughout all of the world, through the stars in the sky and the grains of sand on the beach. Simply God expressing itself in a magnitude of different ways. And because I know there is only one, I know that I am one with it. I know that I am that individualization of spirit. I know that all that I am is the presence of the one. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for each person here. That we are each that unique incarnation of God, brought forth to do the work of God as it moves through us, as us, and all that we are and all that we do. And so in complete realization of the power and the presence of the one, I simply speak my word. I know that life is transforming itself beautifully, easily, and effortlessly through each one of us right here and right now. I know that our life is the action and the activity of the one, that we are here to do that work as only we can. That work shows up individually and beautifully and easily through each one of us. Whether it seems like a challenge or a blessing, it is the work of the one. And I know that we are magnified and uplifted, that our growth is monumental as we experience that divinity within ourselves. This is the truth of who we are. We are a blessing to ourselves. We are a blessing to this community. We are a blessing to the world. And through it, we are transforming the world, creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation. I'm so grateful to know this. I'm so grateful to feel this power and presence. And I'm so grateful to see it active in this community. And I simply release this word into the law, into the creative mind of God that always, always says yes. I let it go and I let it be. And so it is. Amen.
I can definitely testify to the deep dive being absolutely transforming and life-changing. On the brink of discovery, sensing a shift in reality, open to all the possibility, with the hope of a common thread. The journey long and sometimes slow. I picked the hard way, had much to grow, driven by the need to know, with a roadblock in my head. When life calls you to wake to the dream, What you thought you knew is so much more than it seems. Raise your voice to the sky, open your heart, close your eyes. Know that you have everything you need. Loose my grip and change my mind. Took 3 breaths and watched life unwind. Then felt the peace I longed to find. When faith became my muse, everything until was meant for now. The moment prays us to live it out. 1,000 sunrises live beyond down. And oh, what an awesome view. When life calls you to wake to the dream, what you thought you knew is so much more than it seems. Raise your voice to the sky, open your heart, close your eyes, and know that you have everything you need. Raise your voice to the sky, open your heart, close your eyes. Raise your voice to the sky, open your heart, close your eyes. Know that you have everything you need. In this moment, everything you need. Right now, you are everything you need.
All right. And so now is our time in our service when we actually do a conscious contribution to our center here. And I was just talking with someone earlier about this, and I love to go to Costco and Sam's Club, and so I willingly pay whatever membership fee they ask for. I love to have my internet service be fabulous, and so I willingly pay for whatever that is. I love to have a center where I can do this kind of work, and so I willingly contribute to that too. And that's what we mean by a conscious contribution here. We're actually engaging in that activity of knowing that the source of our abundance is not our bank accounts and our checks. It's again taking that one step towards God in trust and faith and knowing that my supply is endless. And so I want you to go within and just think about that for a moment as you prepare your contribution. Just whatever that feels like to you is where I want you to come from to give from today. And when you have that ready, just hold it over your heart and give it a silent blessing. When you're ready, would you repeat after me? This contribution I give.
This contribution I give
Goes forth from me consciously.
goes forth from me consciously.
Does amazing and miraculous things.
Does amazing and miraculous things.
And consciously comes back to me
And consciously comes back to me
as abundance and grace.
as abundance and grace.
And so it is.
And so it is.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are
blessed we are to receive this offering, to receive this conscious contribution to the fulfillment of our mission and our vision here at Centers for Spiritual Living. That vision of creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And we do that so beautifully and so easily and so gracefully here in St. George area. Through these gifts, through this abundance, and through this collective consciousness, we are transforming the world. How good that is to know, how good it is to see it in action, and how good it is to let it be. And so it is. And so it is.
Let's sing, I am the heart. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, I forgot to say welcome to anybody that's watching us on Facebook today. We're live streaming this time. This time we're doing it in the right form, too. Sideways. Details, yes, thank you. So, good morning to everybody on Facebook. I'd also like to ask if there's anybody here for the first time. If you are willing to raise your hand, we have a gift for you. If there's anybody here? Okay, over here, great, fabulous, welcome. Good to have you here. There's a little card in there you can fill out if you'd like and get a free gift in our bookstore, which is right here, fabulous bookstore run by Sue. So, all right, welcome. And anybody that might be here for the second time, we appreciate having you back. We're glad to see you back here again. We hope you find something here that works for you. Okay, we have a few announcements. I'll try to keep these a little brief today. I don't know how well I'll do with that. So next Sunday we are having what I'm calling the State of the Center address. You know, we're doing the State of the Union, State of the State, State of the City, so we thought we'd do the State of the Center. This is a very brief general information center. We want to let you know what's been happening in the last couple of months since I've been here. So Sharon, our Core Council President, and I will be just giving you some facts and information. Be about I put down 45 minutes, probably be about half hour, right after service. So we'll give you a little chance to get some refreshments, and then we'll come on back for a meeting. So if you are a member of the center or a committed visitor, please, or anyone else, please consider joining us for that meeting. Our Power of 8 group is starting on Tuesday, this Tuesday, right? I think you got about 8 or 9 names up there. It's fabulous. So if you're interested in that, you can talk to Cherry here. Raise your hand, Cherry, so people can see you. And or sign up over here and join them at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. Our Science of Mind discussion group is also starting this week. It'll be on Monday from 4 to 5 with Chris and Gwen, who's in the back over here. They're going to be, they're loosely calling it, what did she say? And we're going to talk about the sermon from the day before and any other Science of Mind topics that come up. They may bring in something from the Science of Mind magazine or from our book of the month here, the Science of Mind, and just have a nice discussion group. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about things, this is just a drop-in group. You're welcome to come and see what's happening there. So I got all the books of the month together here. They're all 12 are right here. These are the books that we're doing this month. We didn't have anybody show up on Wednesday, so it may not be something that you're interested in. Or it may be this big, thick textbook that you're not interested in. I'm not really sure. But I'll be here on Wednesday, so if you're interested in coming by, talk about the book of the month, please join me. Our meditation and more, I spoke about that earlier. This is our Wednesday evening service. We had 7 people at the last one. We had 2 brand new people that found us on Facebook. That was thrilling to see that. If you've never meditated before, if you're an experienced meditator, I'm going to be showing you different techniques, different ways of just practicing meditation. What I have found in my experience is that the same way doesn't work for everything. And so I like to find a variety of different ways. This week I'm going to do what I'm loosely calling a chakra clearing, but it's a grounding and clearing meditation that allows you to get very centered in this moment and in your body. So it's a really cool experience. Our classes that we have coming up. So starting on Tuesday evening is a class that I wrote. This is a 4-week class, and this is an introduction to our spiritual practices. There are 10 spiritual practices we're going to be talking about. It's a 4-week class. I have down there 3 hours, but it usually is about 2.5 hours each night, but we'll see. Practices to transform your life. It's a 4-week class. Then visioning, this is one of our certificated classes. We have this whole course of classes here. You have to have, this one has prerequisites. So you had to take one of our introductory classes, which are Beyond Limits or Foundations. But it starts at the end of the month, visioning. So I've been watching this on Facebook and decided, you know what, I'm going. So if anybody else would like to join me at the Women's March on January 19th at Worthen Park here in St. George, they've got some great speakers lined up. A woman who escaped the polygamist movement and has become a licensed counselor and just phenomenal stuff. And then they've got some musicians and so forth. So anyway, we're going to be gathering up. I'd like to get a group of women together, so if you're interested in that, let's join together on the 19th to support it. Yes? Do you have a question? Oh, okay. And then our women's retreat. This is a retreat that I'm facilitating with 2 of my dear friends, Reverends Melissa Felipe and Z.A. Gloff. And if you're interested in that, there's some information back there, or just talk to me about it. You have to, the registration ends at the end of this month, January 31st. So, in my office hours, I'm here on Wednesday and Thursday, from 11 to 5. This may be changing a little bit in the next couple of months, but I'll let you know about that. So if you'd like to just come in and talk a little bit more about science of mind, if you want to know something about our philosophy or our principles, or something that's happening here at the center, or if you want to talk about some challenge in your life right now, or something you'd like to have even expand in greater ways. So come on in and see me. And so our bookstore again is right over here. Sharon?
Yeah, and by the way, so you don't have to write down all of those dates, our webmaster just added in the calendar. We
Yay.
added in the calendar.
Our lovely webmaster, Sharon.
Yes. So we have a calendar now on our website. Just go to the calendar page. You can click on the events. It'll show the description, show if it's a class, if it's a free class, paid class. It's right on the website.
Wonderful.
Is the website this Facebook address?
No, it's the other one, cslsg.org.
Yeah, just look up Center for Spiritual Living St. George. It'll come up.
Yeah.
There's a link on Facebook as well, if
Right,
that's.
yes. Sharon's here to do prayer. Our prayer room is that room right there. It has a sign that says prayer room. She'll do a personal prayer with you if you'd like to have, a minute or two with her to experience spiritual mind treatment in a personal way. And then we have coffee and goodies. I know there was a lot of stuff that came in this morning that looks fabulous. So head over there and get yourself something and spend a little time meeting and greeting and talking to each other here. We've got a beautiful place, a beautiful opportunity for fellowship. So enjoy that. All right. Would you stand and join me? We'll just go on this way. Okay. We'll try and get all this together. Ready? Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called life.
This thing is in my mind.
This thing is in my mind.
This thing is in my body.
This thing is in my body.
This thing is in all of my affairs.
This thing is in all my affairs.
I am it.
I am it.
I receive it.
I receive it.
I embrace it.
I embrace it.
And I celebrate it.
And I celebrate it.
Just the way that it is.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it's becoming.
And just the way that it's becoming.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
So it is.
So it is.
Sing out this new day and this new year. It's a new day, today it's a new life. My way, the doubts they are no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly because I know that I am creating my own destiny. The past is gone, it has no power here. I'm a mighty force in spirit's atmosphere. So I choose to grow, yes I choose to thrive. This longing will not be denied. It's a new day, Today it's a new life my way. The doubts they are no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly, 'cause I know that